Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Christi Lukasiak. I'm Christi from Dance Moms, or Dance Mom Christi. I am Chloe's mom. And the reason, usually I kind of like say like, oh, and I'm probably best known as Chloe's mom, but today I am taking it back old school. I am being like Chloe's mom to the nth degree because I'm finally doing the video that I have been requested over and over and over again. And that is my favorite Chloe solos from Dance Moms. And I have to admit, this video, it was gonna be 10. Like I was just gonna do like, oh, these are my 10. And then I fell into this deep, dark rabbit hole of Chloe. And I realized that she's done well over 50, 60 solos on the show. And I could not cut it down to 10. And I don't know, I decided to do more. So get comfy. This is gonna be a good, juicy, long one. Because it brought up a lot of emotions and a lot of like old feelings, a lot of memories, and I'm gonna share them all with you. So I'm gonna get out my list because there's no way I could remember these solos. And I have to say, like, I had a really hard time putting these in order. Like my notes are insane because I was like cutting and scratching and moving this one here. And the other thing I have to say is that all of Chloe's dances had like similar titles. Like they were all kind of similar. They were either like a bird about a mother or something with like please and catch me and follow, and Barnes is squeaking his toy. Barnes, you have to leave. You're not part of this video. Okay, so this is just gonna be a tough one. Like there's a lot here. But before we get into all of the videos, I wanna start by mentioning what solo had my favorite costume. It was a really hard choice because I couldn't decide if I liked Angry Bird. I kind of loved Angry Bird, and that ended up being like my second runner-up or my first runner-up. But the true winner of my favorite costumes of all of the solos was Red Queen. Red Queen was gorgeous. Oh my God, that costume was just so beautiful. Red Queen is my favorite costume. Angry Bird is a close second. We're gonna get into the dances now because like I said, there's a lot. Starting with number 20. This one I kind of totally forgot about, but I believe this aired in the episode that we did Pink Lemonade that Chloe's hat fell off, I think. I'm not 100% sure, but I feel like this was the solo Chloe did that day. And that is Left in the Dark. Now this dance, she was like a weird, creepy doll, like I think left in the attic, and her dress was dirty, and you know, she was like, I don't know, like a weird baby doll. And I liked when Chloe did more character, like dramatic pieces. And I totally forgot about this one. And then when I was watching it, I was like, oh, I think I kind of like that one. I did like it. So it's not like my top 10, but I definitely it was like one of those ones I went back to and I was like, oh, I kind of forgot about that. I liked it. So made number 20. Okay, number 19. We are gonna go back early days of Dance Moms. This was Chloe's musical theater solo called Parlez-moi. She was a little French girl who like ran out with her little fishnets, and I have no idea how this dance performed. So at the beginning of Dance Moms, you know, obviously the girls had started off like their dance careers, you know, dancing competition dances like everybody else. You'd have one solo, maybe two a year that you would compete. And then once Dance Moms started, we realized that, you know, the girls had to do more than one solo or one dance a year. And so they started to learn these new routines every week. I mean, my God, Chloe was 9 years old at this time, and she like learned a dance and took it and put it on stage and danced for an international audience, you know, after 4 days of rehearsal at 9 years old. And I loved her little like shoulder wiggle at the end. So when I watched that, I was like, oh, I really loved Chloe musical theater. I loved the little French thing. And I was just really proud that she remembered that dance. I really was. So Parlez-moi, season 1. Number 18, I Know It's Too Late. Again, this is another one that I was like, I forget. I'm sure that the title was like an FU to me because weren't all the dances titles FUs to me. But Chloe had that beautiful little pink bustier. You know, it had like that maroon or burgundy ribbon on it. And it was a pretty dance. Like it was very lyrical. Like her turns were pretty and fluttery in the dress. Like It was a very, very traditional, like lyrical, like just, it was a dance mom's dance. And Chloe looked great. She did a great job and it made the list, but there was nothing that like stood out that it was like my favorite, but I liked it, you know? So it definitely made the list. 17 is Follow You. Again, this is just another one of those pretty dances that when I look back and I see Chloe, I'm just so reminded of who she was as a little girl. And it was done really well. It was a very Chloe dance. So liked Follow You. Oh, Follow You was season 4. So I mean, I'll be the first to say I thought Chloe's choreography was better in the early seasons, but I think Follow You was a good enough dance in season 4. I don't have a ton to pick from that I was like, oh, I really like this. So I wanted to make sure I included some later solos, and Follow You made the cut. Up next is actually, it was Chloe's last solo before we left in season 4, and that was Soarin'. This dance is a little bittersweet for me. Like, I remember this dance not being very good. I think because maybe my memories are tarnished from that day, and then just the dance teacher telling her that she was terrible and her technique was awful. And I went back and watched it and I was like, there were so many good parts to this dance. Again, going back and watching, I think I just had a skewed memory of it, but when I did watch it, I was like, I think this dance was better than I remembered. So Soarin', you made the list. Chloe, you're not washed up. Number 15. This one is definitely a title that was a big middle finger to her mother because it was called What About Mother? And this was from season 3. And this dance made my list just simply based on the turn sequences at the end because Chloe, they were amazing. So you're at the top of the pyramid for those turns at the end. I thought they were divine. All right, taking it back to season 2, number 14 is Don't Catch Me. So, couple of things that you need to know about this dance. Number 1, the costume that Chloe's wearing is actually a costume from her second solo that she ever did, not on Dance Moms, and it was called Thank You for the Music. And it was beautiful and purple and had those fluttery sleeves with the beautiful rhinestones across the back. And originally the costume had music notes down the front, but we needed a costume for the show. And so Abby was like, just throw some flowers on it. So I took these beautiful hydrangeas because I had made Chloe this amazing headpiece that literally looked like it was dipped in rhinestones. I took teeny weeny tiny baby rhinestones and outlined the hydrangeas in rhinestones with one in the middle, and I did it all down the bodice. So I mean, obviously I like the costume, but going back and watching her, like when I see her in that costume, I see Don't Catch Me, but really that costume brings me back to when Chloe was 6 and she was doing Thank You for the Music and she was just this little sweet dancer. So I have all of these different memories of some of the same things you watched, and that is kind of why I love that dance. The dance was beautiful. She did a beautiful job on it, but just that costume and her being little even took me back further. And I just have to mention that that is the episode that I was dressed like a disco ball. So Kathy, thank you for blessing me with that moniker for the rest of my life, because everywhere I go, somebody brings up disco ball. So number 13 is Seeing Red. Oh gosh. Okay, so this dance was a little controversial, but I liked Chloe doing kind of like not controversial. It was a little dark. I liked Chloe doing dark dances. She had that red costume on, she had the red lips, she smeared the red lipstick, but I really like that dance. I like that it was intense. I like that she really owned it. I don't know, maybe some of her repressed anger was being shown, on stage in that dance. And again, like I remember the smearing of the makeup, but I didn't quite remember the dance until I went back and I watched it and I was like, oh wait, I really love that dance. And speaking of dances that I did not remember, when I was looking down the list, I 1000% totally forgot Chloe did this dance. And that was Fired Up. That was a Spanish ballet. Chloe had the big black lace fan. She had the red and black lace costume. And her turns with the fans across the floor, I was like, damn, like that was really good. And again, it was one of those dances because there were so many and it got so like convoluted that I just forgot some of them. And that was one that when I watched and like she ended it on the big, note, with the fan. It was very dramatic. I was like, oh, okay, that was a good one. So thanks for coming back into my memory seeing Red, or no, that one was Fired Up. Thank you, Fired Up, because that's not what I thought Fired Up was. I thought Fired Up was Girl on Fire. See, Fire, Fired Up, Red. Chloe's dances all have the same names. I can't keep them all straight. Coming in next is Nobody's Perfect. I'm not 100% sure when this dance was. I don't know if this was season 2 or 3. If it was season 3 after Chloe won nationals, I'm sure this was kind of a dig at her that like, even though you won, you're not perfect. But honestly, I can't remember when it was. So if it was season 3, that's the reason it was given. But if it was season 2, I don't know. Maybe just so she was, you know, kept in her place that she wasn't perfect. Not that Chloe would ever think for a million years that she was perfect. But again, this was, I just look at her control in her turns and just like, God, she nailed it so many times. And, you know, I just think back to how the pressure must have been on these girls to be on stage and performing at this level. And I get asked the question all the time, like, did they really learn the dances in that short of amount of time? And the answer is 100% they did. So much respect, hats off, love Nobody's Perfect. Coming in at number 10 is actually a dance that only aired once because it was in an episode that was only aired once, and that was The Raven. And Chloe literally was wearing like little black booty shorts and like a little black bra top with a couple of feathers on her arm, and she had like cool makeup and a feather in her hair. And I remember her coming out and like doing the little like mean wings, and then she turned and she had that dramatic makeup on one side. And I really like this dance, but I always liked Chloe in those dramatic, like dark pieces, because again, I think it was some of her like repressed frustration she got to let out and be like, oh, you know, because she was always, I mean, I feel that she wasn't allowed to kind of like speak her voice and defend herself. So maybe some of that, she got to like let out some of that pent up frustration in her dramatic dances. And The Raven is definitely one that it's memorable to me. Like, it stands out in my brain. I think about The Raven a lot. You know, some of these other ones, I'm like, oh, I don't really remember that one. And I see it, I'm like, it's great. But The Raven was memorable. Number 9, Trouble. I remember Leslie was there for this solo, I feel like. And Chloe's turn sequence when she comes out at the beginning of this dance is so damn good. I was like, I just go back and I forget like how amazing she was. And I look at that and I'm like, as a dance teacher, how did you not want that girl to succeed? I just don't know. Because like, it was just, they were so good. And I'm sitting in the audience and you can see that I am just like so proud of her, and I loved it and I thought it was great, and going back, it holds up. Like, I still think it's great. Trouble also has like that little sassiness to it, which again, I think everyone always just thought Chloe was super sweet all the time, which she is sweet, but Chloe's definitely got like a little bit of an edge to her. Definitely a sassy side that only I feel like I get to see. She's very funny and very sassy in real life. So sometimes when she got a little bit sassier of a number, she got to kind of like give you a little wink to it. So that's Chloe's like little nod to maybe I'm not as good as you all think. Be good, Chloe. Next up is My Obsession. I remember going back into the dressing room after Chloe did this dance, and it was just Kelly and I. I don't think the cameras were even in there at that point. And I was kind of like, oh, you know, and Kelly's like, no, that was damn good. She's like, I thought that was a really good dance. And I was like, really? And she's like, yeah, that was good. And I remember Chloe had like that amazing sparkly top, and like I did her hair kind of all twisty. And to be honest, I got in trouble for doing her hair like that because it looked like some other studio in the way they did their hair, which I'm sure never aired. But of course, that was made into like a big deal. But that dance was really good. And I think it just, again, goes to show, you know, I was to the point where Chloe was being told so often that she was so terrible that I believed it and she believed it. So to hear Kelly like kind of validate that the dance was good, I wasn't expecting that. And I was like, oh, you thought it was good? Okay, great. So, you know, I don't know. I thought it was really good going back and rewatching it. I want a do-over. I want a Dance Moms do-over. Next up, we have Please. I love this dance. I love this dance so much. I actually have beautiful still photos from this dance, from that competition. Chloe was, I don't know, it was just a really beautiful dance. Her lines were gorgeous. Her turns were good. I mean, they were great, but like, I thought she turned better in other dances, but it was her lines in this dance that just made me go like, oh, it's so good. She had that burgundy costume on. I remember we were in Pittsburgh for this, and I believe this was the same episode that we did Private Eyes. I feel like I had on that same gold shirt. I can't quite remember. A lot of sequins. There's a lot of sequins that were worn by me, not even Chloe. I guess maybe I felt the need. If she was wearing sequins, I had to match her. Who knows? But I do remember Please as a number that stands out in my brain over the years. That's one that I remember. And when I went back and rewatched it, I was like, yeah, that was really good. So love Please. Another dance that stands out to me, because it was a little bit different, it was contemporary for Chloe, and that is Unchained. So Unchained was one of those numbers that had like, it was just totally instrumental, a lot of hard-hitting beats. Chloe was kind of weird in it, you know, like bent, like just doing more contemporary movements because she was always doing like very beautiful, elegant, lyrical. And Unchained was just a little bit different for her. It was season 2. And you can tell at that point when she entered the stage that we had fans. Like, we definitely had fans at that point in the audience. They were excited. They were screaming, like they supported Chloe. And I remember sitting there thinking like, oh my God, people are really watching this show. I always had a hard time believing like people were watching this show because I was still living in my same house in Pittsburgh, going to the same studio with the same people. So I didn't see like how big the show was because I was still just very insulated in our world. And like when we would go to competitions like this and I would see like this fan reaction, I was like, oh, people are watching this. So I remember Unchained being one of those moments. Now, before I talk about the top 5, I just want to give a quick mention to one of my favorite solos that was never aired. And that was Chloe's I Want to Be a Rockette. So the year the show started, Chloe was actually Junior Miss Dance of Pennsylvania. And she had to go that year and give up her title. And when you give up your title, you do a big farewell performance. And Chloe, like outside of the show, because obviously all the music we used on the show was cleared and it wasn't always like the best music to dance to. Look, no shade to any of the artists. A lot of the songs were great. But I mean, you know, when you're giving up a title, you want a song that people know that's like, wow. And so Chloe did I Want to Be a Rockette. She had this gorgeous blue costume. And so we were filming and she had to go and give up this title. And then we had to literally run and get on the bus to go and like shoot whatever we were shooting that weekend. So like she didn't even have that moment where she was kind of like, you know, she got to say her farewells. I mean, she did, but she didn't. It was all very rushed because we had to get to Dance Bombs. But when she went out and she performed that number, giving up her title, she got a standing ovation. And people just like loved it. And it was because they had watched season 1 of the show. They were really rooting for her. This was right at the beginning of season 2. I don't even think, God, I think season 1 had just ended airing and we were already, yeah, I'm pretty sure. Season 1 ended airing in October. Chloe gave up her title in November. So it was like a month later and people were just really rooting for her. And she went out there and she nailed it. And just as kind of a little bonus, I am going to make sure to include a little bit of that dance right now for you. So enjoy.
Want? What do I want? Ever since I was a little girl, there's only been one thing I want. I want what every little red-blooded girl in America could want. I want what I have wanted since the first day I learned how to want. I want to be a rockette. I want to dance until dawn.
Okay, who is ready for Mama Christi's top 5? You ready? Okay, these were hard. A lot of these were hard for me to decide like where they belonged because I feel like a lot of them are good for different reasons. And it was really hard for me to pick. And I feel like the top 5, I just feel like the top 5, I put them in the top 5 for a reason. And coming in at number 5 for me was Wrecking Ball. And Chloe was wearing, obviously, or no, was it Wreck-It? I think it was Wreck-It. I think it was called Wreck-It. I mean, it was clearly like a sounds alike of Miley Cyrus's Wrecking Ball. And like Chloe's costume was supposed to look nude. She had like that skin colored costume with all the sequins. She obviously didn't look nude. But I loved that dance so much. I think it was gorgeous. I think that she nailed it. I thought that it was just, there were sometimes I would like watch Chloe and I would like sit on the edge of my seat. And I remember just relaxing when I watched her do that number. For whatever reason, it just all clicked and it made sense. And I thought it was stunning. Like I still go back and I think it's stunning. So Wreck-It, you come in at number 5. Number 4. I'm actually going to like pull something and do a switch really quick because I had these in a different order, but after going back and watching this, I'm going to put number 4 as Baby Mine. This was the very, very first solo that Chloe competed on national television. And to be totally honest, this dance originally was done to Ma, He's Making Eyes at Me. And it was the dance that Chloe won Junior Miss Dance of Pennsylvania with. And I love that dance. She also placed at Youth American Grand Prix with it. And it was just such a great, entertaining number. But of course, you can't use that music on TV without getting it cleared. So they did a different version of a song, which ended up being Baby Mine, and it slowed down that dance a ton. So I am going to pop in a little bit of the dance with the original music here for you. So you can kind of see that I preferred it with the original. Oh, and P.S., by the way, I made the headpiece. I feel like I always made the headpieces, but I did make the headpiece for that one, and her costume was beautiful. I'm going to take a moment because I just feel like I need to just like rewatch a piece of this. Number 3 is Into Me. And I remember liking this dance. I do remember liking this dance a lot. But when I went back and, okay, I'm going to try not to cry. But when I went back and just rewatched this for this video, and like the lyrics and where Chloe was emotionally, it's hard for me to talk about because I can see it. And she's just so vulnerable in this dance. And God, I hate what that situation ended up being for her. But she's beautiful and she's vulnerable and just stunning. And I really love that dance. It wouldn't be a Dance Moms video and talking about Chloe's solos without me crying, would it? Sorry, some things never change. Number 2 is Silence, because that is the dance that Chloe won season 2 nationals with. And she didn't expect it, and she was so proud. And I love that dance. I love the tape. I thought it was great choreography. I thought she nailed it. And I remember her thinking that she had absolutely no chance of winning. And when they announced her as a winner, not a winner, she was always a winner, but when they announced her as the winner, you can see like just the surprise and the joy and the pride on her face. And there weren't too many moments that Chloe got to be proud. So that was a good one. My very, very, very favorite Chloe dance of all of Dance Moms was season 1. And I know you're all sitting at home screaming because you absolutely know what this dance is. And it is Dream on a Star. And that dance is just, it's Chloe. When she auditioned for the show, she said, and one day when I grow up, I'm going to be a star. And then she did Dream on a Star, and I hate myself. Oh my God. Okay. It was just perfection. And I remember watching the trailer for that episode, and they showed her doing the turns across the stage for that. And I was like, like, I just remember like feeling so just in awe of what that dance looked like. And when I saw it on television, it holds up. It holds up 10 years later. Dream on a Star will forever have a special place in my heart. It is my That dance was just Chloe. I just want to say one thing. For years, everyone always kind of thought I was just being dramatic about what I said, about, you know, just Chloe's situation and the dances she was given and just like the uphill battle she always had to climb. And I just have one thing to say.
I never wanted Chloe to win. She won all the time.
Told you so. That's it for me. I'm so sorry that I cried. I mean, I didn't know that this was kind of going to take me down that path. I mean, I guess I could have expected. This was a lot harder to make than I thought. It really was. Like, I am beyond proud, obviously, of, you know, all of Chloe's dances, but I am most proud of the person she is. So, some things just never change, right? Well, thank you so much for watching this video. Leave a comment below what your favorite solo is, and thanks for humoring me. Bye.